Thank you for joining us. Well, we've talked about how that saints are going to judge people, probably during the 1,000 year reign of Jesus. And I mean, if I find out different, it's not going to bother me a whole lot. But also judge angels, and boy, we could drink pots of coffee over that, trying to decide exactly what that means. But let's nail it down that the Bible does say that we're going to do that. Don't know the details of it, but we do know whether or not it's going to happen, and it really is. Now he goes back to what he's really talking about, the main thing. This is in verses 4 through 7 of 1 Corinthians 6. So if you have law courts dealing with matters of this life, do you appoint them as judges who are of no account to the church? I say this to your shame. Is it so that there's not among you one wise man who will be able to decide between his brethren? But brother goes to law with brother, and that before unbelievers. What kind of testimony is that? If anybody ought to be able to get along, it ought to be people who have the same Spirit of God dwelling in all of them. The Bible even speaks about the oneness of the church. It even says in Romans chapter 12 that we're members one of another and that we're all parts of one body. Actually, then, it's already a defeat for you that you have lawsuits with one another. Why not rather be wronged? Why not rather be defrauded? What's he saying? He's saying that your testimony is more important than your stuff. Your possessions, they don't have eternal value, but the soul of the person to whom you are a witness, an example of what the Christ life is all about, that soul is more important than the whole world. And so we need to keep our perspective. Stuff is just stuff. A testimony has eternal value. In the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5, Jesus says, when you're presenting your offering to the altar, of course, he was talking about Judaism, and remember that your brother has something against you, leave your offering there before the altar, go first be reconciled to your brother, and then come and present your offering. Yeah. So when we have a disagreement about like money matters within the church, or we feel like somebody has wronged us, we need to go to them, speak to them about it, and see to it that reconciliation takes place instead of some kind of a lawsuit. And that's a good testimony to the rest of the world, especially if you're the one who has done the wrong and you go to somebody and ask for forgiveness. Yeah. The Lord says, don't come to me and worship me like everything's okay if you've got somebody that you've wronged and you haven't been reconciled to them. And then also in the Sermon on the Mount, speaking of stuff, he says, if someone wants to sue you and take your shirt, let him have your coat too. Well, by doing so, you're saying, oh, is that really what your life is all about? Well, it's not what mine is all about, so here you go. A good way of saying, you know what, there's a whole lot more to life than your shirt or your coat or your possessions. And that's the kind of life that I have. And you are more important to me than my shirt or my coat. Have a great day.